So what you just saw right there is a snippet from a music video that features the Super Mayor's latest hit single that is destined to get to the Billboard Top 100 as she is going to move on from the Board of Supervisors in Thornton and the mayorship in the Village of Dalton to be a rap goddess. And honestly, the song is just 10 out of 10, A+ first class all the way, because it documents the very relatable struggle of somebody who is holding two offices in the state of Illinois, robbing the taxpayer at every chance that she can get, and is just getting all this hate for no reason, just because, you know, she's stealing all these taxpayer monies, and of course, in addition to that, she's bankrupting both positions to which she has been put in charge, one by the voters, and one, of course, by appointment after the previous office holder ended up passing away. Now, we're going to break this down, we're going to talk about this, we're going to give you some updates on Dalton, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
So if you guys are not up to date on the Super Mayor story, let me give you a quick recap of the events that have transpired recently. But to be clear, I have an entire Super Mayor playlist with over 30 videos where you can get all of these stories in much greater detail. But recently she lost the Democratic primary for the Village of Dalton's mayorship, and she actually had her last meeting as the mayor in the Village of Dalton, because by the time the next meeting comes around, an election will be had. It will not be her to take this particular office, and she lost this election by an absolutely devastating margin. Of course, Trustee House ended up securing 87% of the vote. The Super Mayor ended up getting like 500 votes for the remaining 12 and some kind of decimal point of that percentage, so she's absolutely done in that position. In the Thornton Township, she was booted off of the primary ballot, so she is unlikely to win via write-in campaign right there. So by the end of a couple of months, this woman will no longer be in either office that she holds, which means she will no longer be a supervisor nor the mayor, and thus she should be shed of her title as Super Mayor. That being said, there's also additional updates, because not only did she not show up to her final meeting.
Good evening to you both. Longtime residents we spoke with say that they feel a new sense of optimism for the village. They say that they are eager for some normalcy and meetings that move the needs of the village forward. Tonight, a noticeable absence.
We still have to give an amount of time for Mayor Henyard to determine whether or not she will be present.
Trustees went into executive session as they waited to see if Mayor Tiffany Henyard would be attending Monday night's meeting, but she was a no-show. Also absent, Trustee Andrew Holmes, her longtime ally.
Okay, thanks everybody for their patience.
This was the first village meeting since the self-proclaimed Super Mayor lost the Democratic primary in February to Trustee Jason House.
But the FBI actually dropped a bunch of different various subpoenas, which is unsurprising, because typically in the lead up to an election, the federal government and federal investigations will try to be a little bit quieter about stuff as to not give the perception that they're intervening in said election.
No, Tiffany Henyard hasn't shown her face in the village trustee meeting since that now infamous brawl at the township. Now, after losing the election in a big way last week, she remains a no-show. This, as federal subpoenas reveal, there's a criminal investigation into Henyard and her administration is now heading to a grand jury.
Mayor Henyard is still not present, so we will continue with this meeting.
An empty seat Monday night as the Village of Dalton holds its first meeting since self-proclaimed Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard had a super loss on election night.
Let's move forward. Put this behind us. Let law enforcement take care of that business.
So we already talked about the FBI investigation and subpoenas against Henyard's staff against the Village of Dalton, but these are new subpoenas, and apparently they're going to be brought before a new grand jury in order to indict her for the possible multiple felonies that we've covered on this channel for well over a year, probably into 2 years at this moment in time, and it looks like the Super Mayor will be on her way to jail. All we can do is pray to the God in heaven, hallowed be his name, that we will be able to watch this trial on television, we will be able to cover this wire to wire, and hopefully the Super Mayor will be dumb enough to represent herself, be her own attorney in those proceedings, so we can get maximum Super Mayor across our television screens, across our internet screens, till the end of time. That being said, this video is obviously documenting all the different perils that she finds herself in post being the mayor of Dalton, because she's about to be out of that office very soon, but in addition to that, that has not deterred her quest for fame, as she is dropping a video that basically says she's just being persecuted for trying to feed the people.
To feed the people. feed the people.
Now look, I am not an expert on rap music, I'm not an expert on flow, but I will say the image of the super mayor saying feed the people while she's in front of what appears to be a Malcolm X poster is absolutely hilarious from top to bottom, because the super mayor has tried to make this issue about race, about racism, multiple different times, and she's really leaning into the I'm a black woman, this is the black woman's struggles, and all she wanted to do as a black woman was feed the people, but everybody else just treated her like her being mayor was illegal.
Because y'all got false narratives out there, and y'all should be ashamed of y'allself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. All the stuff that y'all did to get people to come to our community, to just diss and down our community. Shame on y'all.
Now look, despite the super mayor claiming evil white racism is under every rock and that's why she's being targeted because she's just a black woman that's in power and people can't stand that, the fact of the matter is almost everyone in the village of Dalton is in fact a black person. I believe the village demographics are something like 89 to 91% black African American. In fact, all 6 members of the Dalton Board of Trustees are black people. Most of the people who work in the government in the day-to-day operations happen to be black people. The police chief, the one that they had under Tiffany A. Henyard, the one that they had before Tiffany A. Henyard, and the one that will be put into place post Tiffany A. Henyard will all be black people. They were all black people. They're all going to be black people going forward. Do we understand that this village is overwhelmingly black? These are all black people. The white people got nothing to do with this. Make no mistake about it. And by the way, the village was actually run pretty decently prior to Tiffany A. Henyard taking office, even though they had high property taxes and there were definitely some problems. The fact of the matter is they were at a surplus when Tiffany A. Henyard came into office, and she managed to turn something like a $3 million surplus into a negative $7 million debt for the village, and we're still accounting for all the credit card purchases and whatnot that the super mayor has been hiding from the public. Again, we've documented this time and time again. The Lightfoot report came out because yes, they had to hire Lori Lightfoot in order to investigate her, and Lori Lightfoot, of all people, looks like a hero in comparison to the super mayor, so maybe, just maybe, this isn't about her just trying to feed the people.
To feed the people. To feed the people.
To feed my people. To feed my people. I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying, this is definitely 100% top 100 chart, and honestly, the super mayor should have been dropping rap albums her whole entire time while she was in office, because had she done so, she could have used some of that money to pay for all the lavish expenses that she's trying to cover with tax dollars. Now, of course, I will add that obviously this video is being shot in large part in a bunch of different government offices. There is a probable chance around 99% to 110% that all the camera equipment and the sound mixing equipment was all paid for by the Dalton taxpayers or by the Thornton Township taxpayers.
I gave back to community and I cleaned the streets up. I'm starting the board. I'm feeding the people. They put me in office and treat me like it's illegal.
So this woman's last gasp, her last shot at trying to get more attention, is probably yet another example of her misappropriating government funds from the taxpayer in order to pay for something lavish and totally unnecessary that is self-promoting, and that of course is this music video. Because again, we're pretty damn sure that those Amazon receipts or somewhere down the line for the village credit cards, these cameras, this equipment, the time that these employees, probably of the village of Dalton or the Thornton Township, are spending is on the taxpayer dime. This is absolutely absurd from top to bottom, but this is the super mayor. Did we expect anything better from her? Are we surprised by this? The answer is absolutely not. But then again, she was just trying to feed the people, and all of y'all just try to make it like her winning the election was illegal, and I'm not about that life. I'm about the super mayor life. I support her. I'm one of those 560 people that voted for her. Yes, I flew to Dalton, established residency, registered for the Democratic primary, and voted for her because, you know what? She's feeding my people. She's feeding my family by making all this craziness so I can make videos so that it could be monetized so that I could have money. And the fact of the matter is, I'm never going to own a home because the super mayor was voted out of office. And even though I feel terrible for the people in the Thornton Township and for the villagers in the village of Dalton, and I'm happy for them, make no mistake about it, that they have leadership that they can actually get behind and support that isn't going to rob them them blind. In reality, I care more about me, and this really hurts me. So yeah, we're gonna really enjoy the full track when this drops, because Billboard Top 100 for sure.
To feed the people, to feed my people, to feed my people, to feed my people. From Vegas to Chicago, I rode around in Tahoe.
So right there, this particular excerpt just ends. And again, this was a teaser before the single drops, before we get the full music video, before a record label ends up picking this up and rockets the super mayor into stardom. But as you just heard right there, it ends with, from Vegas to Chicago, I rode around in a Tahoe. And I'm going to explain this to you guys in great detail, even though I have lengthier videos that are covering this. But the Vegas trip was probably the first story that I ever covered relating to the super mayor, because she spent an exorbitant amount of money on said trip, because not only did she go out there, not only did members of her administration go out there, not only did a council member that was on her side go out there, but their wives, their partners, and all of those people went with her. In addition to that, she also had her police security detail go with her, and they spent extraordinarily lavishly on 5-star hotels, fine dining, and all sorts of other absurdities. In addition to that, again, Trustee Holmes, the council member that was on her side, he was accused of sexually assaulting somebody on this Vegas trip. And in addition to that, Tiffany A. Henyard was accused of covering up said sexual assault. So for her to reference this in her rap song, insane. This woman is absolutely crazy. She's rapping about her crimes, which I guess is unsurprising because rappers tend to rap about their crimes. In addition to that, she referenced the Chevy Tahoe. Now, we've talked about the Chevy Tahoe time and time again, but let us give you a little bit of background, a little bit of prelude in our discussion related to that, because the village of Dalton was so in debt in terms of vehicles that they were actually on the verge of having police vehicles seized by repo men, by the creditors, because they weren't making payments.
In yet another shock to Village of Dalton trustees, a letter falling on their desks dated February 14th, representatives from Kansas State Bank threatening to repossess 13 village vehicles, saying more than $76,000 is overdue and climbing.
The Board of Trustees approved payment in May of 2023.
But where that loan payment went that was due 9 months ago is anyone's guess. Lawyers for the bank now warning the village, pay up or be ready for repossession agents to take the vehicles, which include 6 police cruisers.
So already, and I mean already, not making your police payments and not paying on other municipal vehicles, total disaster, totally inexcusable, totally crazy. But in addition to that, Tiffany A. Henyard signed one of the most absurd leases humanly possible for Chevy Tahoe that was priced in at around $93,000. But guess what? She was actually paying around $150,000, because when you broke down the payments of this lease, over $50,000 was in interest and APR on this one vehicle.
I sat here and looked at a lease that y'all was paying $149,000 for one of them trucks. You make absolute, that's like when you 19 years old and you go get a car and the interest rate 27%. That makes absolutely no sense. You're
Please
not making
facts.
great finance, excuse me?
Please stay facts.
But let me tell you, here it is, dated December 27th, 2022, the cash price of a 2023 Chevy Tahoe, $93,216.71. Interest and APR, $55,929.49. Total lease price, $149,146.20. Tell me if it's not facts, because your signature is all on it.
I don't see that.
Okay, but you want me to pass?
I don't.
All right.
I'll
but
give
at
my
the
statement
end,
in a
at
few
the
minutes
end
when
of
you
the
finish.
day, it's not about going back and forth with you. It's about making financial decisions that is in the benefit of everybody.
Now again, there's so much hate in the village of Dalton related to this specific Tahoe lease that a lot of people in the village of Dalton actually call her Tahoe Tiffany, because it's so absurd what she's paying for this particular vehicle. Yet in this particular rap song, the super mayor is referencing 2 different scandals, 2 different incinerations of the taxpayer purse, and she's doing it while at the same time playing the victim, saying that all she wanted to do was feed the people. Well, if you wanted to feed feed the people, maybe don't spend more on fine dining on your vacations than the average resident of the village of Dalton makes in a year. It's not a wealthy town. Again, it's around 20,000 people. Median income is something like $25,000, and she's spending tens of thousands of dollars on trips over the course of months, not to mention the hundreds of thousands of dollars that she would have had to spend throughout her whole administration, and then bragging about it, laughing about it. By the way, she flew first class both ways to Vegas. That cost about $4,000. $4,000. She also flew her boyfriend with her. $8,000 just on tickets, billed to the village of Dalton, billed to the Thornton Township. It's insane. It's crazy. It's madness, but it's what we expect from the super mayor, aka the super mayor, the rap goddess. Now look, that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to open it up for comments from everybody out there in the audience. What do you think about this rap snippet? What do you think about the super mayor referencing criminal activity that she did while she's in office? Does that just mean she's the truest rapper? And are you going to buy all of the album in physical and in digital, or are you going to wait for the record to get signed by the super mayor because you absolutely love her beats and her hustle and her flow? And obviously I don't know anything about rap music, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't know anything about any kind of music. Again, all your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the super mayor dropping her first rap single. Till next time.